Breaking Sofronio Vasquez shares how his past helped him overcome life's challenges. In a moment that will be etched in the annals of music history, Filipino vocalist Sofronio Vasquez was announced as the grand champion of The Voice USA Season 26 earlier today, December 11th, Philippine time. This victory is not merely a personal triumph but a groundbreaking milestone, as Vasquez has become the first ever Asian singer to win the prestigious American singing competition. While the world now sees a polished superstar basking in the glow of victory, his path to the podium was far from the smooth ascent it appeared to be. To the casual observer, Vasquez's journey through the competition seemed effortless, marked by consistent praise from the coaches and standing ovations from the audience. However, the reality for the Tawag Tanghalan alumnus was vastly different. His road to the championship was paved with years of rejection and near misses that would have disheartened a less resilient spirit. Before finding success on the global stage, Sofronio navigated a series of local competitions in the Philippines, often facing stinging defeats. The singer candidly recalled a particularly painful memory from several years ago when he auditioned for The Voice Philippines. In a twist of irony, the man who would later command a 4-chair turn in the United States failed to turn a single chair in his home country during the blind auditions. He remembered the humility of that moment, noting that a decade ago, he would have been grateful for even a fraction of a second of airtime, regardless of the outcome. 10 years later, I joined The Voice America and became a 4-chair turner, he reflected, highlighting the stark contrast between his past anonymity and his present acclaim. Yet, these setbacks did not extinguish his passion. In 2017, he joined the grueling competition Tawag Tanghalan, reaching the semi-finals but falling short of the ultimate title. Despite not reaching the final round, he credited Filipino icon Vice Ganda as a key inspiration who encouraged him to dream bigger. This persistence allowed him to eventually showcase his vocal prowess to the world, ensuring that he carried the Filipino flag in every note he sang. In a revealing interview with ABS-CBN News, Vasquez explained how he transmutes his life's adversities into art. He described his performance style as an exercise in vulnerability. He emphasized that Filipinos are accustomed to facing challenges and struggles, and he wants his presence on stage to validate those feelings. It's okay to not feel the best. It's okay to have struggles. It's okay to be questioning your capability, he shared, urging his listeners to stand up and embrace who they are because they are deserving of their dreams. For Sofronio, conquering these challenges was a necessary evolution. He expressed profound gratitude to the community that supported him, noting how heartwarming it was to be welcomed and loved by his hometown. He maintained that dreaming bigger changes one's outlook, asserting that fate aids those who believe in themselves. As cliché as it sounds, just dream, he concluded, proving that aspirations are granted to those who truly desire them. To fully understand the magnitude of the confetti falling on Sofronio Vasquez's shoulders, one must look beyond the television screen and into the quiet, often suffocating years that preceded this moment. The story of Sofronio Vasquez is not a fairy tale of overnight success. It is a documentary of resilience, silence, and the sheer will to survive when the world seemed to have moved on without him. Long before he was a headline act in the United States, Sofronio was a young man in the Philippines navigating the crushing weight of uncertainty. His early life was not defined by opportunities, but by the fragility of his environment. He grew up with a voice that was undeniable, yet he found himself trapped in the difficult space between talent and recognition. He was the singer who could hit every note with surgical precision, yet the doors to superstardom remained firmly shut. There is a specific, piercing kind of pain in being good enough to compete, but never the one chosen to win. The rejection he faced at The Voice Philippines was not just a televised moment. It was a profound personal crisis. Imagine standing on a stage, pouring your soul into a microphone, and being met with the backs of 4 chairs. The silence of that moment is deafening. It is the feeling of being invisible. For a decade, Sofronio carried that silence. He carried the question of whether he was simply not meant for the life he dreamed of. The struggle was not just artistic. It was deeply practical. In the Philippines, passion does not always pay the bills. Faced with the economic realities of life and the need to secure a stable future for himself and his family, Sofronio made a decision that feels like a small death for any artist. He packed his bags and left. He migrated to the United States, not as a touring star, but as an immigrant seeking survival. He stepped away from the spotlight and stepped into the sterile, fluorescent-lit world of a dental clinic. For years, the hands that now hold the trophy of the voice were busy sterilizing instruments and assisting with medical procedures. He worked as a dental assistant, a noble profession, but one that was worlds apart from the soulful expression of his art. We must pause to consider the internal landscape of his life during those years. Day after day, he existed in a world of clinical precision, the hum of the suction machine, the smell of disinfectant, the routine of patient care. In those moments, the artist within him was forced into a state of dormancy. The loneliness of the immigrant experience is often profound. It is the feeling of being anonymous in a vast, foreign land where no one knows your history and no one has heard your song. He was thousands of miles away from the culture that understood his soul, working a job to survive while his dream waited in the shadows. There must have been moments of overwhelming doubt. Standing in that clinic, watching the years pass, the fear that his time had run out must have been a constant companion. The entertainment industry is obsessed with youth and momentum, and he was a man who had pressed pause. He had to grapple with the terrifying thought that perhaps the applause was part of his past, not his future. He had to confront the possibility that he would remain the one who could sing, rather than the singer the world needed to hear. This period of his life was defined by sacrifice. He sacrificed his ego. He sacrificed the immediate gratification of the stage. He sacrificed his identity as a performer to become a provider. To the patients in the chair, he was just a helpful assistant in scrubs. They had no idea that the man adjusting the light possessed a voice that would one day make history. They didn't know that beneath the uniform beat the heart of a world-class musician who was simply waiting for his second chance. But a true calling is resilient. It survives the silence. It survives the rejection. It survives the long shifts and the tired feet. When Sofronio decided to audition for The Voice USA, it was a gamble of immense proportions. It was a leap of faith taken by a man who had every reason to play it safe. He was risking his heart again. He was stepping onto a stage in a country that did not know him, opening himself up to judgment after years of living a quiet, ordinary life. When he sang for the American coaches, he wasn't just hitting notes. He was releasing the years of silence. He was singing for the dental assistant who hummed melodies while cleaning tools. He was singing for the contender who didn't win back home. He was singing for every immigrant who had to bury their passion to pay the bills. The vulnerability he speaks of is not a technique, it is his biography. When he says, "It's okay to have struggles," he is speaking from the trenches of his own lived experience. The victory that followed, becoming the first Asian champion, was not just a triumph of skill. It was a vindication of his sacrifice. It was the universe balancing the scales after years of struggle. The 4-chair turn was the answer to the 0-chair turn a decade prior. It was proof that the rejection was not a denial of his talent, but a delay in his destiny. Sofronio Vasquez commands deep respect today not because he holds a trophy, but because he survived the years when he was losing. He is a champion because he cleaned floors and sterilized tools with the same dignity he now brings to the stage. He reminds us all that no matter how far we travel, and no matter how lost we feel in the wilderness of our struggles, the dream is still alive if we refuse to let it die. His journey is a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It teaches us that a detour is not a dead end. As he stands in the spotlight now, the audience sees a star. But in the quiet moments between the applause, we feel the soul of a man who worked, waited, and walked through the fire to find his voice again. It is a respectful, emotional realization that the most beautiful music often comes from those who have known the deepest silence. Sofronio Vasquez is not just a singer. He is the proof that if you keep walking through the dark, eventually, you will find your light.